Hello, my YouTube family. Our investigation today takes us to the city of Bristol, a place known for its history and culture, but also the backdrop of one of the most shocking crimes in the history of this planet. This is the story of Becky Watts, a teenager whose disappearance and tragic end gripped the entire nation. As we uncover the events step by step, we invite you to be part of this investigation with us. Let us know in the comments which city you are watching from and the time right now. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our deep dives into cases like this. She returned home on February 19, 2015, after spending the night with a friend. Her stepmother, Angie, saw her at around 11:15 in the morning. That was the last anyone saw or heard of Rebecca. She took her phone, her laptop, and her tablet, but no money, makeup, or extra clothes. She didn't say where she was going. It was simply out of character for someone so quiet and reserved. Her disappearance was not noticed immediately. It was not until the following afternoon, February 20, that the family raised the alarm. At around 4 p.m., her father reported her missing. Within hours, police were mobilized and searches began. Local parks, open spaces, and the Troopers Hill Nature Reserve were combed. Volunteers joined officers, driven by a growing fear for her safety. Leading up to that day, Becky had been living a modest, private life. She spent her evenings quietly at home or with close friends. On that morning in February, even the smallest details seemed normal. Until they weren't. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing appeared disturbed. The quiet house gave no hint of violence or threat. The people close to Becky were in the house that day. Her stepbrother, Nathan Matthews, and his girlfriend, Shauna Hoare. They told police they had heard the front door slam and assumed Becky had gone out. That explanation held up briefly, but then suspicions began. Investigators looked at their statements, noting small inconsistencies. By February 22nd, the police issued a public appeal, asking for help. A social media campaign spread across the country. Online posts, shared images, and heartfelt messages carried her face and her name. Helpful tips came from around Britain. Just days later, the search intensified. On February 28th, two people, Nathan and Shauna, were arrested on suspicion of kidnapping. By March 2nd, detectives had rearrested them on murder charges. The case took a major turn when body parts were found inside a shed at a property in Barton Court in Bristol's Barton Hill area. This discovery changed the direction of the entire investigation. But before we go into how these events unfolded, it is important to first understand who Rebecca was, the life she lived, and how this tragic story came to be. If you've made it this far, take a moment to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Your support helps the algorithm reach more people and ensures that the stories of victims continue to be heard, bringing awareness and justice to lives tragically lost every day. Rebecca Becky Watts was more than a name in the headlines. At 16, she was a shy yet quietly bright girl finding her place in the world. In her early teens, she faced a difficult battle. She was bullied over her weight, which led to anorexia. She dropped to around 6 stone, 38 kilograms, and was briefly home tutored. Those were dark days for her family. But with care, treatment, and unwavering support, she slowly returned, more confident, more herself, and finding again the joy of life. She began to style herself carefully, always looking immaculate. She loved music, films, and shopping for clothes, shoes, sneakers, and makeup. Her bedroom reflected her interests: neatly arranged shoes, a growing makeup collection, posters, and a room that spoke of teenage dreams coming to life. Friends and family described her in gentle but powerful terms: loyal, funny, faultless, caring. She had a quiet wit beneath her reserve, a quality that made her rare and cherished. Becky lived with her father Darren and stepmother Angie. Her stepmother had once worked as a classroom helper, so Becky, scared to be left alone, could remain close to her. Her biological mother, Tanya, lived separately. Family life was complex. Becky was caught between different households, but she became a key bridge. Her mother said Becky had the special gift of keeping her parents friendly after their separation. She was caring in ways some teens aren't. In school, she wasn't the most outgoing, but by the end of primary school, she had begun to emerge. Teachers said her confidence had grown, and she had started to bloom into a beautiful young lady. Still, she remained reserved, cautious, soft-spoken, and private. Secondary school brought renewed strain. Anorexia returned in the shadows of teasing. It was a relapse that shook her family, but again, with help, she fought back. As she healed, she reconnected with life. She rediscovered her love of fashion, tried new hairstyles, and let herself enjoy little joys. Selfies, online shopping, choosing the right jacket, choosing the right song to match her mood. She had friends. One close friend remembered jamming on music, texting late into the night, and planning weekends. Becky had a boyfriend, to whom she texted, "I love you so much." She had college ambitions. She had things ahead, normal teenage things, sleepovers, coursework, dreams. She carried social anxiety under control, gentle, careful, always sincere. Her family saw both her quiet reserve and her growing spark. Her grandmother called her faultless. Her stepmother remembered missing her even through their arguments. Her father said he still listened for her door each night, hoping she'd come in, safe. They waited and hoped, but Becky was lost. This was not a dangerous girl or a troubled soul. She was a normal teen, softly navigating life and beginning to shine. And her disappearance turned that ordinary life into a mystery so stark, it stunned everyone who knew her. Her father realized Becky was missing when she did not return from wherever she had gone. Around 4 p.m. on February 20th, 2015, he began calling her friends to ask if they had seen her. None had. Panic grew as hours passed with no sign of her. That afternoon, the family reported her missing to the police. From that moment, the case was treated as a missing person inquiry. Within hours, Avon and Somerset police were on the scene. Officers searched Becky's home and nearby areas. They used sniffer dogs, horses, divers, and foot patrols across parks, open spaces, and scrubland. Troopers Hill, Fish Ponds, Baddocks Wood, Wharf Road, Trim Valley, and St. George's Park were all scoured. The police helicopter hovered overhead. Investigators examined every detail. Yet the house showed no signs of violence or forced entry. A social media campaign erupted under the hashtag #FindBecky. The message spread fast. Posts, shares, messages, and images featuring her face and name reached millions. Friends and strangers reposted pleas and updates. The campaign reached over 2 million people globally, hitting social platforms and local feeds. The family and police appealed both online and through local networks. Meanwhile, the community in Bristol rallied. Friends, family members, and volunteers organized searches. More than 100 people gathered to comb parks and streets. They handed out leaflets and stuck posters with her photo in windows, on lampposts, and across neighborhoods. Over 6,000 leaflets were printed and distributed. A laptop, mobile phone, and tablet belonging to Becky had gone missing from her home. Days later, a member of the public found a laptop and gave it to the police. Each day without results heightened the tension. Nights passed with no news. The absence of any clue became a growing mystery. Was she hurt, kidnapped, or worse? Her family held on to hope, but braced for the worst with each passing hour. The case grew from a missing child scenario into a puzzle of growing concern. The quiet afternoon when she disappeared turned into a city-wide manhunt. Yet no sign of Becky emerged. On February 28, 9 days after she vanished, the case took a critical turn. 2 people were arrested in connection to her disappearance. Investigators questioned her stepbrother Nathan Matthews and his girlfriend, Shauna Hoare. Detectives focused on their statements, noting they said they heard the door slam and assumed she had left. They claimed not to have seen her, but by now suspicions had risen. Over the next days, police executed focused searches at 3 addresses: Becky's home in St. George, a property in Barton Hill, and one in Southmead. They seized a black Vauxhall Zafira and appealed to the public for information on its movements between February 19th and 23. Together, multiple forces and agencies joined the search, including officers from neighboring counties and national missing persons experts. 2 days later, on March 2nd, investigators re-arrested Nathan and Shauna, now on suspicion of murder. And then came the chilling discovery. On March 3rd, officers searched a shed at an address in Barton Court, just a few streets from a home connected to Nathan. Inside a plastic box and suitcases, they found fragments of a body. The items contained within those containers changed the case forever. The possibility that Becky might be found alive vanished. Shockwaves rippled through her family, the city, and the nation. Investigators quietly closed in on a conclusion nobody wanted to face. The community waited. The question now was not where Becky might be, but what had happened to her. And the answer was hidden only a short distance from everything she had left behind. Police quickly focused on people within Becky's close circle. Nathan Matthews, her stepbrother, and his girlfriend, Shauna Hoare, drew attention early in the investigation. Initial interviews revealed inconsistencies in their accounts. Nathan claimed he had not seen Becky on the day she disappeared, while Shauna's version of events differed in subtle but important ways. Detectives noted that their body language and tone shifted under questioning, prompting deeper scrutiny. Forensic teams were deployed to the home Nathan shared with his mother. They carried out detailed searches using specialist equipment to detect any trace evidence. Investigators also examined nearby properties linked to Nathan and Shauna. The breakthrough came when police discovered several bags hidden in the shed. Inside were human remains, later confirmed to be Becky's. The items were traced back to Nathan, who had transported them after the disappearance. This grim discovery shifted the investigation from a missing person inquiry to a murder case. An autopsy was conducted, and although details were kept away from the public to respect sensitivities, the findings confirmed foul play. Investigators now had to prove who was responsible and how it had happened. Detectives examined Nathan's phone, uncovering incriminating text messages between him and Shauna. The conversations included coded language and unusual references that took on new meaning after Becky's disappearance. They also recovered internet searches from Nathan's devices related to kidnapping and restraining individuals. CCTV footage became another critical piece of evidence. Cameras captured Nathan making trips around the time Becky vanished, including visits to the friend's property where her remains were found. Police used timestamp analysis to align these movements with the estimated time of the crime. The investigation revealed a disturbing level of planning. Nathan had prepared materials and chosen a time when Becky would be alone at home. Evidence suggested he intended to carry out his actions without drawing attention, but his cover stories unraveled under scrutiny. Search warrants allowed police to seize further evidence from Nathan and Shauna's home. Among the items collected were tools, plastic sheeting, and cleaning supplies, all examined for forensic traces. Analysis connected some of these items directly to the crime scene and the concealment of Becky's remains. As the picture became clearer, police formally arrested Nathan and Shauna. Both were charged in connection with the murder, though their levels of involvement became a key point during later proceedings. The emotional impact on Becky's family and the wider community was profound. What began as a hopeful search had ended with confirmation of the worst fears. In Bristol, tributes poured in, and vigils were held in her memory. Detectives described the case as one of the most challenging and heartbreaking investigations they had undertaken, given the victim's young age and the betrayal by someone so close to her. Matthews faced a charge of murder, while Hoare was initially charged with perverting the course of justice, later joined by additional charges as the investigation unfolded. At sentencing, the courtroom was overwhelmed with emotion. The judge, visibly moved, emphasized the sexual motivations behind the plan and described the deceitful way Matthews and Hoare had feigned concern during the family's frantic search. Matthews was given a life sentence, with a minimum of 33 years to be served before parole could be considered. The judge remarked that though a whole life term was not applied, the severity of the crime meant Matthews might never be released. Hoare received a 17-year sentence. Victim impact statements added a powerful emotional layer. Becky's father described the horror of her mutilation and the collapse of everything they held dear. He compared the moment they learned of her fate to being cast off a cliff into the bottomless depth of despair. Her mother spoke of being robbed of her daughter's future and of a family forever fractured. The judge praised the family for their dignity and courage throughout the proceedings. That verdict and sentencing brought formal accountability, but emotional wounds remained raw. The convictions of Nathan Matthews and Shauna Hoare marked the legal end of the case, but for Becky Watts' family and friends, the pain did not fade. While the guilty verdicts brought a measure of justice, they could not fill the void left by her absence. Becky's father spoke publicly about the bittersweet nature of the outcome, relief that the truth had been exposed, but devastation that no sentence could return his daughter. Her loved ones continued to struggle with the haunting reality of her final moments, and the betrayal of having the perpetrators come from within their own family circle. The case sparked widespread public conversation about child safety, particularly in domestic environments where trust is often assumed. Many were shaken by the idea that danger could come from those close to home.